WNBA don't think like we think. The WNBA ain't forced to run a business because it's subsidized. The WNBA don't have to do what most regular people have to do in order to be successful. The WNBA is trying to piss us off on purpose. Guys, the WNBA wants to go back to obscurity. The WNBA is trying their best to make sure nothing changes what this league represents.
It's an important question of the day. Glad y'all are here for this one. Are you worried about Caitlin Clark long term?
No, I am not. Every great athlete goes through this, particularly great athletes who are breaking barriers. And I think that Caitlin Clark is doing exactly that. And so I watched Steph Curry go through this. Okay, so it was ankle issues at the beginning of his career, raised some questions. He had to find a solution and fight his way through it. He wasn't getting beat up, but he was having physical issues.
News that Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does. And even in her pregame routine, she was doing some things differently.
For supporters, well, as you can imagine, the fallout has begun. The Indiana Fever are literally taking what looks like the most valuable women's athlete asset that has come around in I don't know how many years. Certainly for women's basketball, they are taking this asset, an asset that I contend is worth more than every player in the WNBA combined.
The WNBA just pulled off the greatest, most terrifying disappearing act since Houdini. Because the second Caitlin Clark went down with a groin injury, so did the league's entire fragile momentum. The national interest? Gone. The ticket buzz? Dead on arrival. The record-breaking TV ratings? Flatlined. It's like someone reached over and unplugged the entire operation the moment Clark started icing her groin. Welcome, folks, to what happens when your entire marketing plan, your entire renaissance, gets unceremoniously benched. We're breaking down the chaos, the collapse, and the deeply uncomfortable truth the WNBA refuses to acknowledge. When Caitlin Clark limps, the WNBA doesn't just stumble. It nosedives. Grab your popcorn and your injury.
She will not play again tonight, so the physicality, she's getting roughed up. The league has an off season. How do we defend her? Well, it's pretty obvious how people want to defend her. They're trapping, double teaming, getting very physical, and now she's banged up. So her first 6 games, she was Caitlin Clark. In her last 3 games, she's averaging 12 a game and shooting 27%. She is not healthy.
The news that Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury didn't just surprise fans. It confirmed their worst fears. If you've been watching the Indiana Fever play over the last 3 games, it's been painfully clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She's made only 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games combined. In her last game, she scored just 6 points. But it wasn't just her performance on the court that was worrying her massive fan base. It was her entire demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was fundamentally wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does. Even her pre-game routines, usually filled with a confident swagger, seemed different, more subdued. Just like that, with one minor yet predictable injury to Caitlin Clark, the entire WNBA went from being must-watch television to a barely audible whisper. The second word got out that she might miss significant time. You could almost hear the merchandise booths across the country frantically packing up, and the network PR teams scrambling desperately.
But it's a tough blow not only to Caitlin because we know that she loves to be on the court. It's a tough blow for the Indiana Fever because that is their superstar. Whether she is playing to the best of her abilities or not, they are still a better team with her on the court. And it's also a huge blow to the WNBA. Whether some fans like it or not, it was proven the last time that she was out with injury that the WNBA does better when she is on the court. The WNBA ratings across the league dropped by over 50% when Caitlin Clark was out with injury. And this is obviously such a crucial time and a crucial year for the league because they go into CBA negotiations at the end of the year.
As one passionate and increasingly frustrated commentator put it, the WNBA ain't forced to run a business because it's subsidized. The WNBA is trying to piss us off on purpose, guys. The WNBA wants to go back to obscurity. The WNBA is trying their best to make sure nothing changes. This isn't just about hard fouls anymore. This is about a perceived, almost intentional effort to sabotage their own success story. Caitlin Clark didn't just attract a few new fans, she summoned a cultural movement. She's a hardwood enchantress who made sold-out arenas the new norm and ticket lines wrap around the block in cities that previously couldn't give WNBA tickets away. When she's playing, the turnstiles spin like overheated slot machines. Nachos vanish by halftime, and citywide traffic jams become an expected part of the pregame ritual. But when she's out with an injury, as she is now, it's crickets. The national buzz completely dies. The once-packed stands suddenly, visibly thin out, and the arena ushers go from high-stakes crowd control to leisurely completing crossword puzzles.
And I can't believe I'm coming to this conclusion. Guys, it is clear the WNBA operation itself doesn't know what it's doing. And now it's clear that the Indiana Fever does not know what it's doing. But here's the sad part, guys. This ain't on accident. This is on purpose.
The fans? Oh, they noticed the dip in her performance and energy long before the official injury report confirmed their fears. The drop-off was so obvious it could have been sponsored by a bad reality TV show. Social media immediately turned into a forensic lab for viewership stats, with fans dissecting photos of empty seats like they were analyzing crime scene evidence. When Caitlin's on the court, the vibe screams sold-out music festival. When she's not, it's giving community bingo night. Plenty of empty chairs, not a lot of noise, and a palpable sense of deep regret from the thousands of folks who could have just stayed home and streamed a cooking show instead. Now, Caitlin Clark is officially banged up. She will not be playing tonight, and the cause is clear to anyone who's been watching. The relentless physicality. She's getting roughed up. The league had an entire offseason to figure out how to defend her. And their answer, it seems, was to trap her, double team her, get as physical as possible, and now, predictably, she's injured.
Had a lot on her plate. This is not Iowa. This is not Kansas anymore, Toto. This is the WNBA. This is the world, and she's got a lot on her shoulders. But I've seen every player, great player, who's had to adjust to that and accommodate it, and I have no doubt that she will do that, whether it's physical or mental.
So let's talk about those ride or die fans, the millions who came for Clark and stayed for the revolution. Because the moment she took a mandatory break to heal, the ride stalled, and a lot of them are now choosing to die on a very specific, very loud hill. Overnight, the jerseys stopped flying off the virtual shelves. The streaming numbers dipped like someone violently yanked the Wi-Fi cord out of the wall. Online comment sections, once filled with heated, passionate debates about her game, transformed into digital ghost towns. You'd think people would rally behind the league, support the other teams in her absence. But no. It's like someone unplugged the singular source of entertainment value, and suddenly, the WNBA was awkwardly asking people to care about the rest of the product without the one person who made them care in the first place. One fan, likely still wearing their brand new Caitlin Clark hoodie, recorded the arena mid-game when she wasn't playing, and the background noise sounded like a particularly quiet library during finals week. The camera panned across entire sections that were emptier than the league's marketing strategy without her. People weren't just disappointed, they felt insulted, almost.
Caitlin, when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back-to-back a factor at all with that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a factor from a physical standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint. Certainly in my mind, it is. But at the same time, she's shown that she's tough and she's a quick healer. So we'll see.
And yet, some delusional defenders, both in the media and seemingly within the league itself, keep pretending this is just a minor blip, that fans should be excited anyway. Excited about what exactly? Watching teams without their star player fumble through basic fundamentals in front of a politely bored, half-empty arena? Trying to rally around other players whose biggest off-court accomplishment seems to be retweeting memes that take subtle, passive-aggressive digs at Caitlin Clark? It's not just a downgrade in quality. It's like switching from a gourmet Michelin star meal to a bag of stale, off-brand vending machine snacks, and being told with a completely straight face that it's the exact same culinary experience. The league is desperately trying to spin this fallout, pushing narratives about team balance and the bigger picture and player development. Sure, and the Titanic was just a luxury cruise with a surprise, impromptu, deep-sea diving excursion at the end. People didn't tune in for methodical identity building. They tuned in because Caitlin Clark was single-handedly redefining what watchable.
I'm keeping it real. All right, that's the draw, that's the aura, that's the brand. She is the WNBA. I've said, I contend she ought to be, her three-point shot should have already been changed. That should be the logo of the WNBA. Of course, the old school WNBA fans, all about this many of them that existed, that makes them furious. I don't care. Y'all can keep trying to gatekeep this league all you want. I don't care. They're trying to take this asset. Stephanie White seems to be completely in over her head. Once again, Jason Whitlock said it the other day, and I pointed right at my television screen, which is over to the right of me, when I was watching Whitlock, and he said, they need to hire an NBA coach like Mark Jackson.
She's a lot like Michael Jordan, is the physicality of the league. And basketball has always been this way. If you can't figure out how to stop somebody, Steph Curry faced some of this. In basketball, the answer is always get physical with them. Make them uncomfortable. Rick Pitino was on yesterday and talked about Caitlin Clark.
She's a great passer. She reminds me of Steph Curry when Steph Curry came into the league. She's doing what Steph did early on. She has unbelievable range. She has great vision. She's a terrific passer. She's physically a little weak, but she'll get stronger as time goes on. But she really understands how to play, and she reminds me of the female version of Steph Curry. Incredible range.
And then there's the funniest, most absurd part of all, the way other players are handling it. Instead of rallying around the league's biggest star, some seem oddly, almost gleefully relieved, as if the spotlight might finally, blessedly, shift in their direction. Bad news, it didn't. The spotlight just turned off. No one is rushing to buy courtside seats for a gritty team effort or a scrappy defensive battle. Fans want the unicorn. And when the unicorn isn't there, it turns out the magic show is just a bunch of assistants awkwardly pulling scarves out of their sleeves. Even worse, the broadcasters are visibly struggling to pretend it's business as usual. With Caitlin on the court, commentary is electric, charged, alive. Every movement is a story. Every possession, a potential highlight. Without her, it's 2 hours of commentators desperately trying to sound
Given that Caitlin Clark haven't had her best game the last few games, they probably just okay, take the day off, girl, and come back ready to hoop.
It is no secret that Caitlin Clark has been struggling in her shooting since coming back from injury. She had that big game right after the initial leg injury where they played the Liberty, they beat the Liberty. She had 30-something, Sabrina had 30-something. It was a fantastic game. But since then, she has been really struggling from the field. There's been reports of her maybe having her migraine issues again. There's been reports of her in interviews she's been coughing a lot and kind of sniffling, was she sick? And now she is out for tonight's game because of a groin injury. And even in her post-game interview the other night, she said, it felt good coming out of my hands, and then it just wasn't going in. They feel good. They feel like typical Caitlin Clark shots.
And let's not forget the conspiracy theorists. Oh, they're having an absolute field day with this. Some swear the league secretly, almost diabolically, wanted her out for a while, that her shadow was getting too long, her popularity too inconvenient for the established order. But here's the delicious twist. Even if that were somehow true, this injury break only, incontrovertibly, proved just how desperately they need her. You can't build your entire house around a single load-bearing pillar and then act surprised when the whole structure starts to wobble after you remove the foundation. This ain't on accident, folks. This is on purpose. And yet, some delusional defenders keep pretending this is a minor blip, that fans should be excited anyway. Excited about what exactly? Watching teams fumble through fundamentals in front of a politely bored, half-empty audience? Trying to rally around players whose biggest accomplishment is retweeting memes about Caitlin Clark? It's not just a downgrade. It's like switching from gourmet to stale vending machine snacks and being told it's the same experience. This league is supposed to protect and elevate its stars, not grind them down into dusty, forgotten highlight reels and deep-seated regret. And yet, here she is, this generational talent, slowly being drained, physically and emotionally, by a league that practically begged for her brilliance, but now seems to have completely forgotten how to nurture or even simply protect it. This isn't player development. It's a slow, painful, public sacrifice, and the whole world is watching.